Class 7, Science, Chapter 1, Nutrition in Plants. Animated Science. Introduction. Food is required by all living organisms, that is, plants and animals, mainly for 4 reasons or purposes. Food helps a living organism to grow. If enough food is not given, or if the food given is not of the right kind, the organism will not have proper growth. Another important function of food is to provide the energy which is required for any living organism for movements and other activities. Food is also needed by living organisms for replacement and repairing of their damaged parts. Food provides us the power to fight against infections and diseases. Nutrition. Nutrition is the process of taking in food by living organisms and using it for the purpose of growth and development of the body. Nutrients are components of food, that is, carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins and minerals that are essential for the growth and development of our body. Modes of nutrition. Mode of nutrition means a method of obtaining food by an organism, that is, plant. There are 2 modes of nutrition in plants. Autotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic means self-nutrition. Example, plants containing chlorophyll or algae. Heterotrophic nutrition. This means nutrition from others. In this type of nutrition, the plants have to depend on other plants for their food. For example, mushrooms, Venus flytrap, fungi, rhizobium, cuscuta. Autotrophic nutrition. Auto means self and trophos means nutrition. Thus, autotrophic means self-nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition is the mode of nutrition in which plants make their own food from simple substances like carbon dioxide and water. Such plants are called autotrophs. Example, plants containing chlorophyll, algae. The green plants prepare their own food through a process called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. Photo meaning light, synthesis to combine. The process in which plants make their own food or glucose from carbon dioxide and water by using sunlight in the presence of chlorophyll is called photosynthesis. Chlorophyll is usually present in leaves in structures called chloroplasts. There are tiny pores on the surface of the leaves. These pores are called stomata. The stomata are surrounded by guard cells. The guard cells control the opening and closing of the stomata. The stomata take in carbon dioxide from the air. The water and minerals absorbed by the roots are transported to the leaves and other parts of the plant through tiny vessels called xylem, which runs through the stem, branches and leaves. Thus, chlorophyll, sunlight, carbon dioxide and water are necessary to carry out the process of photosynthesis. Oxygen gas is released during this process. The overall equation of photosynthesis is represented as follows. Carbon dioxide plus water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll give carbohydrates and oxygen gas is evolved. The carbohydrates are converted to starch and then used up by the plant as food. The process of photosynthesis also takes place in the green algae found in ponds and stagnant water to contain chlorophyll. These algae also prepares their own food. The plants with deep red, violet or brown leaves, such plants also contain chlorophyll. These plants also prepare their own food through photosynthesis. Colored leaves have chlorophyll too. It is just that they are masked by other color pigments. The chlorophyll needed for photosynthesis is hiding within the leaf color. Heterotrophic nutrition. The word heteros means other and trophos means nutrition, which means the nutrition obtained from others. Heterotrophic nutrition is a mode of nutrition in which plants cannot make their own food. They depend on other plants for food. They take in ready-made food prepared by the plants. Example, mushroom, fungi, cuscuta, mistletoe, rhizobium. Parasitic plants. The parasitic plants have heterotrophic nutrition. The word para means others, so parasites depend on others for food. Non-green plants like cuscuta, mistletoe, etc. show parasitic nutrition. The parasitic nutrition is a nutrition in which an organism called parasite derives its food from the body of another living organism, called its host. Non-green parasitic plants absorb food from other green plants. In this case, the green plant is the host and the non-green plant is the parasite. For example, cuscuta, the plant cuscuta is a non-green parasitic plant, that is, it does not have chlorophyll. It takes ready-made food from green plants. It has yellow, slender, tubular stems which twine around the branches of trees and absorb food from it. Mistletoe. It has leathery green leaves and so it can make its own food, but it has to depend on the host for food, like minerals and water. Carnivorous plants. The carnivorous plants have heterotrophic nutrition. The carnivorous plants are those plants that derive some or most of their nutrients by trapping insects and feeding on them. For example, pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, Drosera, etc. The pitcher plant traps insects and feeds on them. It has a pitcher-like structure, which is the modified part of the leaf. The apex of the leaf forms a lid which can open and close the mouth of the pitcher. Inside the pitcher, there are hairs which are directed downwards. When an insect lands in the pitcher, the lid closes and the trapped insect gets entangled into the hair. The insect is digested by the digestive juices secreted in the pitcher. Saprotrophic plants. The saprotrophic plants have heterotrophic nutrition. The word sapro means rotten. Saprotrophic mode of nutrition is a nutrition in which a plant obtains its food from dead and decaying organic matter. Such plants are called saprotrophs. Example, mushroom, yeast, fungi, Indian pipe. Fungi growing on eatables like bread, pickles, left in hot and humid conditions for a long time. You can also see fungi growing on shoes, clothes, etc. The fungi secrete digestive juices on the dead and decaying matter and convert it into a solution. They then absorb nutrients from it. Indian pipe. Indian pipe has no chlorophyll. It can't make its own food like most plants. Therefore, it has to borrow nutrients either from decaying plant matter or from another organism. The way it does this is by having its roots tap into the mycelia or root-like threads of a fungus. Indian pipe. Symbiotic plants. Certain plant species that live with other plant species for mutual benefit, symbiosis, are called symbiotic plants. Symbiosis. It is the type of nutrition in which two different kinds of organisms depend on each other for their nutrition. In this, both the organisms are benefited by each other. Example, lichen. In this, one alga and one fungus live together and remain in a symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic relationship. Some organisms live together and share shelter and nutrients. This type of relationship is called a symbiotic relationship. In symbiosis, one organism is an autotroph, that is, it prepares its own food and the other organism absorbs food from it and in return helps it in some form or the other. Example: certain fungi living in the roots of trees. The trees provide food and nutrients to the fungus. The fungus in turn helps the plant in taking up water and nutrients from the soil. Lichens are an association between a fungus and green algae. The fungus obtains food and nutrients from the algae, and the fungal tissue in turn provides shelter to the algae, allowing it to grow in harsh conditions such as rock surfaces. Certain plants such as peas have a symbiotic association with Rhizobium bacteria. Rhizobium can take atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into a soluble form. But Rhizobium cannot make its own food, so it lives in the roots of a gram, peas, mung beans and other legumes and provides them with nitrogen. In return, the plants provide food and shelter to the bacteria. Symbiotic relationship. How nutrients are replenished in the soil. Plants grow in the soil by absorbing mineral nutrients from the soil. So the amount of nutrients gets lesser and lesser as more and more plants are grown in that particular soil. Hence, farmers need to replenish the soil from time to time. One way to replenish the soil is by adding fertilizers and manures to the soil. Fertilizers and manures contain nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, which helps in enriching the soil. Soil is also replenished with the help of a bacterium called Rhizobium, which lives in small root nodules of the legume plants like gram, peas, mung, beans and other legumes. These bacteria can take nitrogen gas from the air in the soil and transform it into ammonia or NH3 that converts to ammonium or NH4, which can be used by the plant. The nitrogen fixation process between the legume plant and Rhizobium bacteria is referred to as a symbiotic or a mutually beneficial relationship. Each organism receives something from the other and gives back something in return. Rhizobia bacteria provide the legume plant with nitrogen in the form of ammonium, and the legume plant provides the bacteria with carbohydrates as a food source. Plant cell. The plants are made of tiny units called cells. Cells can be seen only under the microscope. The plant cell is enclosed by a thin outer boundary called the cell wall. Inside the cell wall is the cell membrane. All cells have a distinct centrally located structure called the nucleus. The nucleus is surrounded by a jelly-like substance known as cytoplasm. The cytoplasm contains chloroplasts. Chloroplasts contain chlorophyll.